Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at some really interesting sources you brought in excerpts from Emerson Faith and Nascent Ideas.
That's right. We're trying to get a handle on how to, you know, recognize and maybe nurture those really early stage ideas, the ones that stick around but aren't fully formed yet.
Yeah, the ones that feel kind of fuzzy. And our mission here is really to unpack what these sources tell us about identifying them and, I guess, the mindset you need.
Exactly. The mindset to pursue them when they're still in that, well, that nascent stage.
And nascent itself is a key word. The source points out it's a formal word, meaning something like just beginning to exist.
Precisely. Or recently formed or developed. So really just starting out, still an infant idea in a way.
Okay, so let's dig in. According to these sources, how do you even know if one of these nascent ideas, these little sparks, might be worth pursuing?
Well, the main signal the source points to is pretty straightforward, actually. It's the idea that just won't leave you alone.
Ah, okay. The persistent one.
Yeah. You try to forget it, maybe dismiss it, but it somehow comes back again.
So that feeling of it returning isn't just you being stuck in a loop. It might actually mean something.
That seems to be the implication. If it keeps coming back, the source suggests maybe there's something there that you missed out on. Like the idea itself is poking you.
Interesting. And then when you do start paying attention, it sounds like it gets complicated. The source talks about this feeling of still missing something academically.
Yes, exactly. Like you're close to understanding it, but you just can't quite grasp the whole picture. It uses the word entangled.
Entangled, that paints a picture, almost like being caught in mental knots.
Right. And sometimes it even says it feels like a big joke is being played on you. You know, that mix of complexity and maybe absurdity.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, why can't I figure this out? But even with that frustration, that entanglement, the message seems to be keep going.
Absolutely. The source emphasizes you must continue to press forward, even if you feel like you might never get the whole picture or find every single answer.
So it's about trusting the process, even when it's messy.
It seems so. And speaking of messy beginnings, there's that great Emerson quote included. Every artist was first an amateur.
Oh, right. I love that. It fits perfectly, doesn't it?
It really does. It kind of gives you permission to be in that uncertain, maybe clumsy early stage. You don't have to be polished to start. Being an amateur is, well, where everyone starts.
So, okay, you've got this persistent, maybe confusing idea. You're embracing the amateur stage. What does actually moving forward look like then, according to the source?
He talks about taking steps, sometimes small ones, and basically just hoping for a click.
A click, like a moment of insight.
Yeah, that connection or realization that lets you make the next big leap. But it also acknowledges, that sometimes optimism can be pretty low.
Right. The source mentions that sometimes all you have is your faith.
Exactly. Faith in the process, faith in the idea, maybe faith in yourself. You must remember to hold on for as long as possible until your beacon of light arrives.
Holding on with faith. That leads to that other image you mentioned from the source, the light bulb.
Yeah, the light bulb turning on in a dark room. It's small, maybe compared to all the darkness, but it completely changes the space.
It's a great metaphor for that click or that nascent idea starting to take real shape, that little bit of illumination.
It's that moment of hope, that breakthrough you're holding on for.
So thinking about this for yourself, for anyone listening, how do you recognize those ideas that just keep looping back? Have you felt that kind of entanglement the source describes?
It's definitely relatable, that feeling of wrestling with something just out of reach.
And does this idea of needing faith, of starting as an amateur, does that resonate with how you approach developing new thoughts or projects?
I think it reframes the struggle, doesn't it? Makes it feel less like failure and more like, well, part of the necessary path.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just to recap the key things we've pulled out today, recognizing persistence as a signal, navigating that murky feeling of entanglement with persistence and faith.
Embracing that amateur beginning and really holding out for that moment of clarity, that click.
It's quite a journey it describes. It requires real stamina.
Definitely endurance and belief.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with, something the source prompts us to consider. If an idea keeps coming back, how do you really know? How do you distinguish between persistence that signals genuine potential versus, say, just getting stuck on something internally, maybe wishful thinking, and where's the line?
Trusting that signal, that's the real challenge, isn't it? Something to mull over.